Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Welcome to the channel and welcome to yet another emergency update. We're back, all right. After I think the last one was Monday or Sunday, we're back again because we had some major movements. We had some massive volume coming in as well. So I wanted to give you my thoughts on the current market situation and what to expect in general from this. So that's what we're going to do. Wanted to talk about obviously what happened, what caused this price action for Bitcoin and the market, and then I also wanted to talk about some altcoins. So I wanted to talk about Ethereum specifically, XRP specifically, and then wanted to briefly go over some altcoins that I think are quite strong and that's usually like the strongest altcoins. During a recovery like this can also rally the most afterwards. A lot of people tend to think, well, this has already rallied, so it's not going to rally any higher. That's false, all right? But all right, so what happened is that, from the top of my head, I think tariffs to about 75 countries or something, at least a major list were paused, or at least the tariffs that were proposed a couple of days back. A 10% tariff is going through, but there's also a 90-day suspension. Even though I think that 10% is actually immediately is already active right now. And then there was a 125% tariff on China. So that's still pretty major, and I do think we're still going to get some volatility with the potentially with the reaction of China to that increased tariffs. So we will definitely still see volatility, but overall, I'm relatively convinced by this move. I mean, you can see right here as well. We'll get to Ethereum in a moment, but you can see if you take a look at the S&P 500, that's quite strong as well. And one of the main things that's convincing me right now is, first of all, we've been able to break above this level at 80,800. So far at least, but we'll get to that a little bit later. And we did that with a lot of volume, all right? The volume right now across the board is extremely high, and that is what you want, all right? If you go back to all the other times that the markets have found a bottom, because that is ultimately what we want right here. The volume was also extremely high, and right now the volume in the markets is around $170 billion. That's slightly lower than where the volume was when we turned bullish in November, as you can see. But this is by far the highest volume we've seen even since April last year. So this is a good sign, but we'll get to that later. Outside of that, there was some other news as well, which I do think matters and also makes this a little bit stronger, and that also caused a little bit more bullish pressure from the stock markets after the initial big data that we had. But what you can see right here, the main news that I was talking about is this, all right? So Trump will take a look at exempting some U.S. companies from the tariffs. So that also adds to in general some relief for companies such as Apple, right, which obviously has a massive market cap. So that certainly helps getting the stock market a little bit more healthy. And as you can see, there's a lot going on, all right. Bonds also became much better. So in general, it seems like, and you can see that with this as well, it seems like some more trust has returned to the equity markets in the US and also the US in general, and that's obviously positive for the United States. But that also indirectly is positive for Bitcoin. Now, talking about Bitcoin here specifically, what we have done is obviously incredibly bullish so far in terms of the price action. But for me, the most important thing, and that is something we will have to see, I mean, with this move, what we also did is we left some massive imbalances to the downside right here. And what you tend to see is that those imbalances do get filled. So I'm personally, maybe with some sort of a retaliation from China, I'm personally still quite wary, but also interested in a potential move into this area right here between 81,000 and ultimately like 78,500. I think that's a very realistic possibility, especially when the Asian market opens, for example. But ultimately, especially given the volume right now and given the changes that we have seen, ultimately, I do think this is a real breakout. All right. So even though I do think you have to be, I'm saying I do think a lot. So excuse me, it's incredibly annoying. However, we can definitely fill these imbalances, but I think ultimately we will be able to hold this breakout. And that is a good thing, because if we zoom all the way out for Bitcoin, this level right here at 80,800 is incredibly important, right? And you can see that there is major support level at 78,500 as well. So outside of those imbalances, technically we can also expect some support there. But this looks like a real breakout. And that's why, unless if we get some massive retaliation from China, I'll have to say that we are going to be able to hold this breakout, and then the next target would be the value area high. The next target conservatively would be the POC at 84,000, which is also filling the CME gap. And then the value area high right here at 86,000, which is the composite of, it's not really a composite, but it's the composite from the 9th of March until the 6th of April, the range highs of that. So I would say that's most likely for Bitcoin. Now the Bitcoin dominance is still extremely strong, or at least extremely high still. It hasn't grown. So when we're talking about altcoins, I mean, Ethereum is the one I'm looking at most. I would hope, like for Ethereum, the main level, like ultimately most coins right now have a level similar. Similar as the level 80,800 is to Bitcoin. All right, for Ethereum, that is its level right here at 1600. If we're able to hold that as support, great news. We can get that reversal into 1750. And for XRP, that level is 1.95. All right, so if we're able to hold 1.95 here, which for all of these, I think it's most likely, because all altcoins are very correlated to Bitcoin. And I think for Bitcoin, it's most likely we're going to be able to hold that level and that reclaim. Just be aware that late longers will most likely get liquidated and hunted, all right? So for XRP, that could, for example, mean that we do something like this. As long as you're prepared for that, I think you're fine. And I think in general as well, given these circumstances, I don't think this is a time to go all in. I think most of you understand that, but still. But those are my thoughts on Bitcoin, the fundamentals, XRP, Ethereum. Talking about some other altcoins right here, I think Sui has been incredibly strong. I think Pepe has been incredibly strong, and these also have major volume. Fartcoin, of course, but we've talked about that before. And those are, I would stick with those. Ondo has also been quite strong, and Hedera as well. But I would stick with those kind of top 100 cryptos at least at the start. Because they, even with volatility that is expected, they're most likely to actually hold those high confluence support levels. So yeah, I'll be back with new videos tomorrow morning. Let me know which videos you want to see, or which cryptos you'd like to see analyzed down in the comments, or better yet, join the Telegram or Discord and tag me in there. That way you almost have a certainty that it will get covered, at least in a market update or in a dedicated video. So let me know, but that's it for now. Have a great night. I'll talk to you all in the morning, and bye.